Hello everyone, welcome to lecture number 30 of BHU Swayam course on Fundamentals of Economics and Financial Markets. Myself Dr. Anand Singh, and in this particular video I will be discussing with all of you regarding the SEBI guidelines on private placements. Now in this particular video I will be discussing with all of you regarding 5 major key points. Those key points are: point number 1, what are the different kinds of issues which are basically available before a company whenever they wants to float their securities in the primary market. Now, in the second key point, I will be discussing with all of you regarding the meaning of private placements. In the third point, I will be discussing with all of you regarding the Sahara case, Sahara India case, that company which was led by Mr. Subroto Roy. And I will be just discussing with all of you regarding how Sahara case is basically concerned with private placement. In the fourth key point, I will be discussing with all of you regarding the different types of private placements. And in the last segment of this particular video, I will be discussing with all of you regarding the SEBI guidelines on private placement. Now, let us start this particular video. First, what are the different kinds of issues? Now, basically all the companies who decides to enter the primary market or who decides to enter the new issue market, they can float or they can offer 4 different kinds of issues in the primary market. Those issues are: number 1, public issues; number 2, rights issues; number 3 is private placements; and fourth one is bonus issues. Now let us discuss in very brief regarding all these 4 kinds of issues. First one is public issues. What is the meaning of public issues? Public issues are basically those kind of issues which are offered by a company directly to the general public. By offering such kind of issues, the company basically invites the general public to subscribe the securities of the company. Such kind of issues are basically made by the companies and they are offered to the normal investors. They are offered to the retail investors. Why? So that the retail investors may subscribe the securities and become the shareholders of the company. Now, public issues can be made by both kind of companies, that is listed company and unlisted company. Now, the second type of issues are rights issues. Rights issues are basically such kind of issues which are offered by the company in the primary market, and the offers are basically made only to the existing shareholders. That means those shareholders who are already the shareholders of the company, only offers are made to such kind of existing shareholders. It is not offered to anybody else. And since they are offered to the existing shareholder, basically the company is giving them an opportunity to subscribe or to maintain their shareholdings in the company as well as to maintain their voting rights in the company. So such kind of offerings are known as rights issues. Now, third one, private placements. Now, I will be discussing regarding this particular point, that is private placement, in the next few slides in very detail. Now, fourth type of issue is bonus issues. All of us knows that bonus shares are basically those shares which are allotted or which are given by the company to its existing shareholders out of the profits or out of the reserves of the companies. So, bonus are basically given by the company to its existing shareholders out of their profits or out of their reserves, but they are given in the form of shares only. That's why such kind of allotments are known as bonus issues. But one thing is very clear, since they are paid out of the profits or out of the reserves of the company, that means such kind of issues do not generate any kind of fresh capital for the company. And since bonus issues do not generate any kind of fresh capital for the company, that's why this particular issue, that means fourth issue, it is not considered as an proper issue of the primary market. So in primary market, only 3 issues are basically concerned, because all those rest of the 3 issues, that means public issues, rights issues and private placement, they generate fresh capital for the company in the primary market. And since bonus issues do not generate fresh capital, so that issue is basically eliminated. Now, let us discuss regarding the private placements. What is the meaning of private placement? Private placements are those placements which are made by or which are offered by the company directly to a list of sophisticated investors. And the most important thing is the maximum number of investors should be 49. That means the number of investors should be either 49 or less than 49. It should not be more than 49. Why? Because as per one of the SEBI guideline, if the number of investor goes beyond 49, that means it is 50 or more than 50, then it will be treated as a case of public issue. It will not be treated as a case of private placement. Now, why such kind of thing is there? Why it should be 49 or less than 49? Now, this particular figure, or from where the number 49 has arrived, all of us knows that the Companies Act 1956 was completely silent regarding the number of investors or the maximum number of investors in the case of private placement. So from where this particular number was arrived, in order to know about this particular concept, let us discuss about Sahara case. Now, Sahara India, one of the most reputed company of our country. Basically, under this particular group, there were two important companies. Those two companies were SIRECL, that is Sahara India Real Estate Corporation Limited, and second company was SHICL, that is Sahara Housing Investment Corporation Limited. Now these two companies of Sahara Group, they basically offered a kind of security, and the name of security was OFCD, that means optionally fully convertible debentures. These two companies, they basically floated OFCDs in the market to more than 2 crore investors. All those investors were very small investors or retail investors, but the number of those investors was more than 2 crore. And by offering OFCDs to more than 2 crores, both the companies of Sahara Group, they basically collected approximately 24,000 crore from the market. So a huge amount of money was basically collected by both the companies of Sahara Group by offering OFCDs to more than 2 crore investors. Now, when this particular case came into knowledge of SEBI, then SEBI filed a case against both the companies in the Honorable Supreme Court, stating that since the number of investors is very, very large, that means the number of investors here is more than 2 crore. So, SEBI was of the opinion that this is basically a case of public issue and it is not a case of private placement. But Sahara was arguing that, or both the companies of Sahara Group, they were arguing that since Sahara has privately placed or directly interacted with the investors, and the investors have themselves make investments in the OFCD instruments, so this case should be treated as a matter of private placement. But after hearing both the sides, the Honorable Supreme Court in August 2012, it gives its decision in the favor of SEBI, and it ordered Sahara Group, both the companies of Sahara Group, to pay the entire amount collected by it, that is 24,000 crore from the market. And the Honorable Supreme Court ordered both the companies to just give the entire or to refund the entire amount collected by it to all the investors, that means to more than 2 crore investors. Now, SEBI also imposed a penalty upon both the companies, that means the companies of Sahara, and a fine of in the form of interest, that means 15% interest was also imposed upon both the companies. So the entire amount was supposed to be repaid by Sahara Group. Now, here under his decision or under the decision which was given by Honorable Supreme Court, this figure arrived that if the number of investors in any issue will be 49 or less, then it will be treated as a private placement. But if the number of investors will be more than 49, that means 50 or onwards, 50 or more than 50, then it shall be taken as a case of public issue. So this case is very, very important, and it is directly concerned with the matters of private placement. From this particular case, it was derived that the number of investors, the maximum number of investors in case of private placement should be 49 or less than 49. Now, the provisions of Companies Act 2013, it clearly states that in the case of private placements, the maximum number of investors should not go beyond 49. That means the number of investors should be either 49 or less than 49. Now, let us discuss regarding the various types of private placements. Basically, according to SEBI, there are two different types of private placements. Those two placements are, point number one, QIP, that is qualified institutional placements. Now, QIP or QIP are basically a kind of private placements which are made by the company directly to the QIBs, that is qualified institutional buyers. That means when a company decides to float private placements and the entire placements are basically offered to QIBs, that means qualified institutional buyers. That means only institutional buyers are offered to make investments under such kind of private placements. QIBs are basically a kind of mutual funds or any kind of institution, LIC, GIC, other institutions which are basically approved by SEBI. They are regarded as qualified institutional buyers. When private placements are directly offered to QIBs only, then such kind of private placements are regarded as QIP, that means qualified institutional placements or institutions placements. Now, the second type of private placement is preferential allotment. Private placements are also popularly known as preferential allotment. Why? Because under preferential allotment, basically the company offered entire amount of private placement to a list of sophisticated investors. Now, the list of sophisticated investors, under the list, there might be individuals, at the same time there might be some institutions, mutual funds, etc. So, but when the offers regarding private placements will be made by the company to a list of sophisticated investors, then under that category they are known as preferential allotments. Now let us discuss regarding some of the important SEBI guidelines related to private placement. What is stated under the provisions of SEBI? Some of the important guidelines related with private placements are, point number one, Section 42 and Section 62 of Companies Act 2013, they directly concerned with or they directly deals with the matters of private placement. They clearly specified what is the meaning of private placement, what are the different types of private placement, in what conditions or in what manner the private placements can be made by a company. So Section 42 and 62 of Companies Act 2013 deals with the matters of private placement. Now, guideline number 2, the offer of private placement, that means the single offer, in a single offer of private placement, it may be offered to a maximum number of investors of 49. So the maximum number of investors during a single issue of private placement should be either 49 or less than 49. It should not go beyond the limit of 49. Now, guideline number 3, if the offers are made to more than 49 investors, then that particular case will be treated as a case of public issue. That will not be considered as a case of private placement. Next guideline is, in one financial year, a company is permitted to offer a maximum of 4 private placement offers in one financial year. That means suppose ABC Limited is a company. Now, in one financial year, that particular company, that means ABC Limited company, can make an offer related with private placement for a maximum time of 4 times. That means maximum 4 offers related to private placements can be made by a company. Now, here one question will arise. Suppose ABC Limited has an option to offer 4 private placements in one financial year. Then whether it can offer all the 4 offers or 2 offers or 3 offers at a single point of time, then answer is no. At a single point of time, one company is permitted to make only single offer related to private placements. Once the private placement, the single offer is completed, then only second offer might be initiated by the company in the financial market. That means if one offer is open in the market, then a company is not permitted to start or initiate the second offer related with the private placements. And in one financial year, maximum 4 offers related with private placements can be done by a company. Now, the next important guideline related to private placement is what shall be the total number of investors, maximum number of investors who are willing to make investments in private placements of a company during one financial year, that is 196. In a single offer, maximum number is restricted to 49. In the same manner, if suppose 4 offers are made by a company in one financial year, then it can invite a maximum number of 196 investors only. The number of investors should not go beyond 196. Now, suppose whether the QIBs, that means qualified institutional buyers, or the existing employee of the company, whether their number should be considered under this number of investors or not. Now, according to SEBI guideline, or SEBI guideline clearly states that while calculating the number of 49, that means in a single offer, the maximum number is 49. While calculating the number of 49, the employees of the organization or the company or the QIBs, that means qualified institutional buyers, their number should not be included. That means their number should be counted in excess of 49. They might be calculated in excess of 49 and it will not violate the SEBI guidelines. That means both their numbers, that means the number of the employees who are making investments in private placement and the numbers of QIBs, that will be not considered while calculating the numbers of 49 or in one financial year the number of 196. The QIBs and existing employees, their numbers will not be included. Now, what is stated regarding the maximum amount of investments or the minimum amount of investment? Is there any limit? Now, according to SEBI guideline, a single investor can make an investment of a minimum of rupees 20,000. That means there is a restriction upon the minimum amount of investments which must be made by an investor in the matters of private placement. That is restricted to 20,000. That means suppose 49 investors are making investments in the private placement of a company, then no investor is permitted to make an investment of less than rupees 20,000. No, all the investors are supposed to make an investment of at least rupees 20,000 or more. But the guidelines are basically silent regarding the maximum amount of investments to be made in the offers related with private placement. There is no foundation upon the maximum limit, but no investor will be permitted to make an investment of less than rupees 20,000. Now, how the investors are going to make investments or in what form, whether they are permitted to make in cash, give the entire application money in cash, or any other method is there. Now, as per the SEBI guideline, all the investors, whether they are QIBs, whether they are employees, or whether they are the high net worth individuals or other sophisticated investors, all those investors must make the entire application money. They are supposed to pay the entire application money in the form of check, in the form of draft, in the form of RTGS, in the form of NEFT or any other method, but cash, payment in cash is strictly prohibited. That means SEBI has clearly prohibited that payment or application money should not be received by the company in the form of cash. Now, in the matters related to private placements, it is compulsory for the company to open a separate account. That means why? Where the company shall collect the entire amount of funding. So, according to SEBI, it is compulsory for the company to open a separate account for a single offer related with private placement. Suppose a company is making offers related with private placement, then it is compulsory for the company to open a separate account for that specific private placement and the entire amount of application money must be collected in that account only. Now, next important guideline related with the private placement offers are the entire private placement offer or the entire process related with private placement must be completed by the company within a period of 60 days from the date of receipt of application money. That means once application money are received by the company, then it is compulsory for the company to complete the entire application process or complete the entire process. That means the process related with allotment of the securities within a period of 60 days from the date of receipt of application money. Now, next important guideline is the company must file a return regarding allotment of securities with the registrar within a period of 30 days. It is compulsory for the company to make the entire allotment process within a period of 30 days. Now, the next important guideline is regarding advertisements. For example, what was stated in the SEBI guidelines of public issues? Advertisement was compulsory. Advertisements must be made by the company in at least 2 leading newspapers. Now, in the same manner, in the offers of rights issue, SEBI guideline was clearly stated that advertisements must be made which are concerned with rights issues. But SEBI guidelines on private placements clearly states that advertisements should not be done by the company if the matter is concerned with private placements. Advertisements are strictly prohibited in the matters of private placement. Now, let us discuss in detail about the procedure of private placement. That means, suppose a company has decided to make an offer related with private placement, then what are the necessary steps? What are the steps which the company must be adopting or which the company must be following in order to make an private placement offer? Now, the important steps are as follows. Point number 1, the first and the most important thing which the company is supposed to do is identification of the prospective investors. Now, here I am discussing about investors, but those investors are not real investors. They are prospective investors. The company is thinking that these investors might make an investment in the company's private placement offers. So, the first and most important thing is the company will identify the prospective investors. Now, the prospective investors might be individuals, they might be institutions, so they might be in the individual form, they might be retail investors because minimum amount of investment is rupees 20,000. So, retail investors can also be invited. In the same manner, in the individual component, high net worth individuals might be invited. In the same manner, in institution category, QIPs might be invited or other mutual funds, LIC, GIC and other forms of organizations or institutions might be invited by the company. But the first point deals with identification of prospective buyer. Now, the second point is the company will prepare a list of prospective buyer. Whosoever is identified in point number 1 or step number 1, all those prospective investors will be properly named. Their listing will be done by the company. That means a proper list will be prepared by the company, mentioning the names of all the prospective investors. Now, it is extremely important to note down that, or the company must supervise that the maximum number of investors or the maximum number of list should be either 49 or less than 49. That means the number of investors should not go beyond 49. Now, here one thing should be noted that if there are QIPs, that means qualified institutional buyers, or certain employees of the companies, they are willing to purchase or they are willing to participate in the private placements, then their number might be added beyond the number of 49. That is not basically contradicting the SEBI guidelines, because SEBI has permitted that 49 number is basically for normal investors or sophisticated investors, and this number shall exclude the number of QIPs and the number of employees of the company. Now, the next, the company will prepare the draft offer letter or draft offer of letter related with private placement. Now, according to the SEBI guideline, again, drafting of offer of letter must be done by a category 1 merchant banker. All of us knows that the merchant bankers, they are the registered intermediaries. They provide every kind of financial services in our country. But only category 1 merchant banker can give the services of issue management. Only category 1 merchant banker is authorized by SEBI to handle the issue management, the management of private placements or the management of rights issues or the management of public issues. So in the case of private placements also, the company will basically appoint a category 1 merchant banker, and that merchant banker will be given the responsibility to draft the offer of letter related with the private placements. Now, it shall be the responsibility of the merchant banker to mention each and every material content in the draft offer of letter. Now here material content basically means all the significant things, all those important details regarding the companies, those must be mentioned in the draft offer of letter, and it is the responsibility of the merchant banker to ask each and everything from the company, and after asking, to properly verify those statements which are given by the company. After proper verification, or after properly, or when the merchant banker is convinced that yes, the informations provided by the companies are true, then such kind of informations must be placed, or they must be written under the draft offer of letter. So it is prepared by merchant banker, it is the responsibility of the merchant banker to draft the offer letter. Now, thereafter, the offer letter must be placed before the board of directors meeting or during the meeting of the company's shareholders, and that particular offer letter must be passed by the board of shareholders or the shareholders meeting in the annual general meeting via special resolution. It is compulsory that the shareholders are passing this particular offer letter via special resolution. Now, let us understand what is the meaning of special resolution. In the case of special resolution, any agenda must be passed by the shareholders with a majority of at least two-thirds. Now, in simple majority, when simple agendas are there, then it might be passed with a simple majority, that is more than 50%. But in this particular case, in the matters related with private placement, those private placement offers must be passed by the shareholders in the general meeting with a special resolution, that means with a majority of two-thirds. Now, the offer letter which is passed by the shareholders, it must be dispatched to all the sophisticated investors with the application form. Now, one of the important procedure that must be fulfilled by the company, or that must be adopted by the company, is to dispatch the offer letter within a period of 30 days to the registrar of the companies. That means the offer letter must be dispatched to the registrar of the companies within a period of 30 days. Now, the company must make the entire allotment related with the private placement offers within a period of 60 days from the received of, or from the date of receive of application money. Now, whenever an applicant is giving the application money along with the application form, then it is the responsibility of the company to make the entire work get completed within a period of 60 days from the date of receive of application money. Now, if a company fails to make the entire allotment within a period of 60 days, then it shall be taken as the violation of SEBI guidelines. And according to the SEBI guidelines, all such investors must be paid their entire amount of investments within a period of 15 days. That means if a company is not able to make the entire allotment completed within a period of 60 days from the receipt of application money, then it must pay the entire amount of funds collected to it by the investors. It is supposed to pay the entire amount back to them within a period of 15 days from the date of end of the 60 day. Now, according to SEBI, the companies also penalized to pay an interest, a rate of interest of 12% upon the amount which is collected by it from the shareholders. Now, in the next video, I will be discussing with all of you regarding the old stock markets. Now, in that particular video, I will be discussing with all of you regarding three important points. Point number one, what is the meaning of old stock markets? In that particular segment, we will discuss regarding the origin and development of old stock exchanges in our country. Then I will be discussing regarding the meaning and concept of stock markets. And in the third segment or last segment of my next video, I will be discussing regarding the important features which are concerned with the old stock markets of our country. That means those features are more or less not prevalent upon the new stock exchanges. Those features were basically associated with the old stock markets. So very thank you for watching this video.